Hello again friends and loyal Wolfpack members, Chaos Wolf here and welcome back to the Elite Dangerous 2.3 beta server. Today we are going to be taking a look at the Imperial Cutter. Now yes, I know I have looked at this ship previously, but I feel it's about time that we went back and revisited a few of these, mainly because, especially with the larger ships, they're going to need to be refitted a little bit for Multicrew as soon as that goes live in a couple of weeks. So let's go and have a look in the outfitting department to go and see just what we're going to go and need to have changed in order to make this ship more usable for Multicrew. So here we are, and first of all we're going to go and have a look at the hard points. Now as you can see, I've actually gone and put in almost exclusively turreted weapons. Now, normally I wouldn't do this for most ships, but the Cutter is a special exception. Because it generally handles like a sick mule, it's generally required that you have almost 360 degrees worth of fire arc. Now, as you can see, we've got 4 Class 2 multi-cannons, 2 on the nacelles and 2 underneath the nose. We've also got 2 large turreted pulse lasers and 1 huge gimbaled pulse laser as well. Now the reason I've gone for this is because there are no turreted huge weapons, also because I want to have some control myself, because if I am the helmsman, all I'm going to have control of here is control of the ship and any fixed and gimbaled weapons. Now I could have this as a fixed weapon to get a bit more punch for the weapon, but as aforementioned, this ship does handle like a sick mule. So that makes fixed weapons almost a complete no-no. So overall, like I said, we're going to have access to 1 weapon. But this is not absolutely terrible. So let's go and have a look at what else we've got in utility mounts. So what we've got is we have 4 shield boosters, 2 at the top here and 2 at the bottom down here. We've also got 2 heatsink launchers and a manifest scanner and a kill warrant scanner. So this is going to give us the ability to go and do a lot of scanning. Theoretically, you can swap out the manifest scanner for whatever you want. I just like having this here just in case I need to know something. Coming out back, we can have a look at the core internals. Everything here is A rated. We've even got 2 5D hull reinforcement packages just to shore up the bulkheads, because I'm not going for military grade on this for the simple fact that I do want to retain some maneuverability. In the optional internals, you can see that we've got an 8A shield generator. Now, I would have liked to go for a prismatic shield generator, but there's 2 problems here. First problem is that they are extremely heavy. And second of all is that they require a lot of power. And to run this setup with prismatic shields, we would need to modify it at the engineers. Currently, as I have it set up, we do not actually need to go and modify the power plant. We've also got an 8A shield cell bank. We've got a 6D fighter hangar, because this allows us to have 2 fighters. Now we've got 1 in here. We've got the Rogue F and the Rogue G. I don't remember which one's which, but I think the Rogue F is the one with the fixed plasmas, and the Rogue G is the one with gimbaled pulse lasers. Now the reason I have these 2 specifically is because if it's either a large ship or I'm using the NPC fighter pilot, I will send out the one with the fixed plasmas, because NPCs have better aim than I do. Usually, especially when it comes to fixed weapons. The Rogue G, the one with the gimbaled pulse lasers, I will use that either if it's a human pilot or if it's a small, nimble ship, because I want to be able to have a better lock-on. So that's why I have these 2 specific ones. Feel free to go and put whatever you want in here, these are just the ones I prefer to have. I've got a bunch of cargo space just to give me the option to do a little spotter trading if I want to. It's 160 tons of cargo space in total, because I like having a ship to be a multi-role thing. Now, if I was to use this as entirely as a trader, as I probably normally would if I actually had this ship on the live server, I wouldn't be doing this build, but I'm trying to think of this as a multi-role fighter. We also have 5A Collect Olympic controllers, because if we're out there fighting, we might want to go and pick up some materials. We may even want to go and pick up some loot that our targets go and drop. We've also got a planetary vehicle hangar, so we've got 2 SRVs. This, it really is optional. You can go and put whatever you want here. It's just, I like having the option if I do want to go and land planet side. And last but by no means least, we've also got a frameshift drive interdictor. So this is going to give it the option to go and pull out bounties out of supercruise. Okay, so that's it for outfitting. This is how I would go and set this ship up on the live server if I had it. What we're going to go and do is we are going to go and engineer the ship just to go and see what we can get it to go and do. And then we're going to go and put it through its paces in some combat. So the first thing we did is we went and modified the thrusters for dirty drive tuning. This is a very nice roll, getting 35% increase to our optimal multiplier. Now everything else could obviously be better, but it'll do. The next thing we went and upgraded was the frameshift drive, because the jump range of this ship really needed to be upgraded because it was in the teens. And we want to get this up as high as possible. Now this was a very good roll because we managed to get the optimized mass over 50%. Now I do wonder whether Frontier has changed some of the mechanics and the way that these rolls work, because I had to roll a hell of a lot of times in order to get this above 52%. In fact, the vast majority of the rolls that I got were way below half. So I wonder whether they're actually changing the way that these rolls are being calculated. I don't know, I'll have to do some more testing to find out. Next we went and modified the power distributor. Now this particular roll was very nice because we managed to get the weapons recharge over its maximum, because the maximum I believe is 35, which these two are just shy of. Although this one went way over, so I'm actually quite pleased with that. The next thing I went and modified was the shield cell bank. The reason for this is that I wanted to see what the specialized shield cell bank was going to be like, because it actually goes and reduces the amount of thermal load that activating a shield cell bank goes and generates. So I'm curious to go and see how well that's going to work. Now unfortunately it does mean that it's going to be increasing our power draw, but we're modifying the ship anyway, so we're going to go and just see how well we can go and do it. So the next things we went and modified were the hull reinforcements. Now we have two of these and they're both modified roughly to the same degree. Now they are getting heavier, which is going to be adding to our mass and reducing from our maneuverability, but the ship's heavy enough as it is, so it's not a big problem. We're also getting a hull reinforcement boost, so the amount that they go and shore up our armour by is being increased by so much %. And we're also getting resistances on top of this, so this is going to be very nice. Next is the alloys, and because we're actually using lightweight alloys which have an intrinsic weight or an intrinsic mass of 0, the mass increase or reduction is nothing, because you can't times or multiply anything by 0 because it's always going to be a 0. We're also going to be getting a hull boost out of this. We're going to be getting kinetic resistance, so basically this is completely positive. There are no negatives to actually modifying lightweight alloys. So it's one of the best things to go and do for this ship. So we're going to go and apply this. Next it's time for the kill warrant scanner, and this time we've actually modified it with one of the new blueprints, and that's the fast scanner. Now what this is going to allow us to do is reduce the scan time by up to 80%. This particular roll here has allowed me to get to 77, so I'm really curious as to how fast this is going to scan now. Unfortunately it does go and reduce the scan range, so I'm rather curious as to how close we're going to have to get with a D-rated scanner, because it usually has a range of 2.5 kilometers. So I'm guessing this is going to be going down to about 1.25, maybe a little over that. Now for the sensors, I'm actually going to be going for long range, just because I want to go and see how far we can actually get the scan range to. This is actually upgrading our typical emission range, so basically how far we can actually see things from, by up to 74%. So this is going to be interesting to go and see how well this works. It's reducing the power draw as well, and we have a little bit of a mass reduction, but that's kind of by the by, because we're already getting a 139% mass increase. Yes, it's a bit, but I really want to go and see how this is going to go and affect the ship. Now for the life support, I've decided to go for shielded, just because this is a big ship. If our shields go down, the NPCs may start targeting our life support, and I want to keep that up as long as possible. So that's why we're going for this. Now this roll was very, very nice, because the maximum for this roll should really be 200%. But for some reason we've managed to get this up to 219%. So this is really nice to have. The power draw has gone up by over 100%, but we still haven't modified the power plant, so I'm really curious to see how this is going to go and work. Now as for the shields, I've opted to go for the thermal resistances. The reason being is because these are actually my favourite type of modification for shields. Because what's happening is we're getting effective strength out of the shields without increasing mass and without increasing power draw. So overall, I think this is the best way to go. The only time this is going to be an issue is if you're coming up against plasma weapons. And what they do is they actually ignore 60% of resistances. But that's still not a problem because you're still going to be having that 40% resistance bonus over them. And as for the heatsink launchers, I'm going for the same one that I always go for, which is the extra ammo capacity, just because it's always nice to have more. Now, the ammo increase is always going to be fixed at 50%, so the only reason you would have to re-roll these would be to try and get a better roll on the mass and reload time. I don't see these as a massive problem, and the reason I like to have two is because if I need to fire off a couple in quick succession, I can do that. I don't have to wait for the reload. Now for the shield boosters, I'm going to be going for resistance augmented. Now the reason for this is because we already have 4 on the ship, so this is going to be increasing our overall megajoulage by 80%, which, if I am correct, is going to be potentially the point when we start having diminishing returns, if that actually does go through. I don't know whether or not that's actually going to be going through this patch, because it was supposed to be going through last update, but it didn't. I've not been keeping up with this, so I'm not 100% sure. This may be superfluous, I don't know. But either way, I still prefer to go for the resistances anyway, because not only is this going to be increasing our explosive and our thermal resistance, it's also going to be shoring up the kinetic resistance. In fact, one of these is going to be completely negating and increasing our kinetic resistance that we actually had reduced over on the actual shield resistances. And as for the manifest scanner, we are going to be doing the same thing we did for the kill warrant scanner, and that's going to be reducing the scan time. Now again, this is going to be reducing the scan range, and it's also going to be reducing the integrity. But thankfully on this one we got a decrease to mass and a decrease to power draw, so that's not bad at all. Now for the frameshift drive interdictor, I've opted to go for the longer range because I want to go and see just what we can go and get this to. Now we've increased the range by 37%, which is pretty as close to max as we're going to really get. The mass has been increased, the power draw has been increased, and the facing limit has been reduced, which means that we're going to be having to sit almost directly behind it in order to go and start the interdiction. Now for the pulse lasers, I've opted to go for overcharged weapon, because normally I do actually go for efficient weapons, which goes and gives an overall buff to every part of the weapon. This is specifically buffing damage per second and damage, and yes, I know these two really should be together, because damage per second really is just rate of fire multiplied by damage. But oh well. Now I'm not going to worry about experimental effects because for this example they're kind of pointless. Now as for the multi-cannons, I decided to actually go completely opposite to what I usually do and go for the efficient weapons here. Just because I want to go and reduce the strain on the power distributor as much as possible, and as I said before, efficient weapons go and buff almost every aspect of the weapons. Okay, so that's it for all of the modifications bar the power plant. Now what we need to do is have a look here in the modules and see just how much we are over our power usage by. Now as you can see, we're over our maximum output by 22%. You can see output up there at 100% and usage is 122%. Now what this means is we're going to have to go and have a look at the power plant and have a look for an overcharged option that can increase it by up to 22%. So the minimum one we're really going to go and need is a level 3. I mean, we could go a little bit safer at a level 4 and maybe even a level 5. But the reason I like to check this after is because, as you can see, the negative effects also go and increase as we go up. So you really want to go and try and limit yourself negatively by choosing the minimum one here. Now sometimes it might be nice to try and get it so that you can actually have it with a grade 1, because it is possible to have a little over 20% with a grade 1 with some good secondary rolls. And considering that this actually only takes one very common material to go and roll, it's kind of an easy way of doing this. Because as you can see here, we've actually managed to get this up to 17% on a grade 1. So this is very nice. We've had a power capacity increase of 5%. Now I do believe we can get these anywhere up to 10%, but I'm not 100% sure. Now we can go and see if this would in fact be enough if we actually go and mess with some power priorities. Now the downside of this is we've lost integrity of 1%, and heat efficiency of 7%. Now if we went for a higher grade of blueprint here, these two would be a lot worse. Now I've got to say this took me quite a few rolls to get, somewhere around about 15 to 20, but like I said, if it's a grade 1 thing, you'll need like about 1 sulfur or 1 iron or something that's extremely easy to get. Stockpile a load of those and you're going to be golden. So we're going to go and apply this one. Now let's go and have a look over here. Now you can see that we're only 4% over our maximum. And after setting up the power priorities how I normally do, which basically means any weapons and anything to do with the shields being set to priority 2, anything not needed in combat being set to priority 3, and everything needed to run the hell away if things go horribly wrong, like the thrusters, the frameshift drive, life support and so on, being left at priority 1, then we actually can quite happily go and run this ship with being heavily modified with just a grade 1 power plant increase. Now granted, it was a very good grade 1 power plant increase, but it's still amazing nonetheless. Okay, so the next thing to go and do is put this ship through its paces in combat. Now because we've specifically set it up for multi-crew, we've gone and filled up our crew. We've even got a NPC fighter pilot, so we're going to go and see just how well this ship goes and performs fully crewed. So we've got our first target here, and this is the Anaconda. Now I've only got access to the huge gimbaled pulse laser, and we've lost one of our fighters.
I got obliterated.
Yeah.
Tango is down. Sky is clear. No more targets.
So let's go and see what else have we got to shoot at. We've got a Federal assault ship, and because of the modification, actually no, it's actually right up close to us. So we can start firing on this one, and I suspect Commander Geddy, who is acting as our gunner, is going to be able to fire on him with a 360 degree fire arc. Which is going to be very nice considering that we are handling like a sick mule.
One thing I've always wanted to shout in Elite Dangerous is literally just to go, prepare to broadside!
But now technically we can broadside.
Capability.
And that's that one down, so there we go. Oh look, we've actually got a
Target is down.
dinky
Scanning for more
little
threats.
adder after us as well. Where is he? There he is. Now I've got to say the gimbal arc on this huge pulse laser isn't great.
Looks like you've got a runner, Commander. Let's take them out before they jump.
No, that's him down as well. So I'm really not having to do all that much here.
Target destroyed.
Now let's go and see if we can find ourselves another target. Next target here is an Asp Explorer. There we go, I've tagged it guys. So fire when you're ready. And again, this ship is drifting like nobody's business. But it's not terrible. We are actually managing to control this quite easily. Now, keeping an eye on the weapons distributor. If it starts going low, I just stop firing for a short while, giving Geddy the ability to actually go and recharge. And these ships do just die really, really quickly. Okay, next we've managed to find ourselves an Anaconda. And with the fact that I've gone and modified the sensors of the ship to be long range, we spotted it from quite a range. Now I suspect I'm going to have to flight assist off here, because we were going to overshoot anyway.
We don't need them shields.
Yeah, we don't need to put too many pips into systems, because I've modified this with a lot of resistances. So it's not going to be too bad. If we start taking a lot of fire, then I can start being more serious with the shields. But considering we've got a very high amount of resistance and about 80% boosting on them for megajoulage, I think we're going to be alright. And his power plant's down, and there goes him.
Threat eliminated. Patrolling for enemy. I think we're prepared, Commander.
Next we've got another Federal assault ship. And again, this thing's going to die. Now, I don't have ability to shoot it right now. But that's fine, because I've only got one weapon. Geddy is the one that's actually doing the bulk of the damage here. And even though we have only got turreted weapons, they are just carving through these enemies. Okay, last one we're going for now is this Elite Asp Explorer. Now, it was on full shields when we started, it just took me a little while to get around because we had to go and maneuver through some asteroids in order to get here.
Tactical ramp.
Tactical ramming in an Imperial fighter, you fucking madman.
It works.
How are you finding the fire arcs there, Geddy?
I'm running out of mousepad.
Alright.
Target destroyed.
Last one is the Imperial Eagle, but these should die stupid fast. And there he goes.
Target is down. Scanning for more threats.
Okay, so what do I think about this ship once I've set it up for Multicrew? Now, I've got to be honest, this ship really does shine with Multicrew. As you can see, we were in this hazardous resource extraction site just carving through enemy ships, and it's absolutely amazing how much more potent this ship is once you've got a crew on board. With 2 ship-launched fighters and a gunner firing off all the turreted weapons, this is just insane. Not only that, but as Geddy did say earlier, he just always wanted to say fire at the broadside. And he's actually been able to do that. In fact, that's actually what he's doing right now. So, I've got to say, this ship gets infinitely more deadly once it's been set up for Multicrew. Now, hopefully you guys are going to be finding this as well. Now let me know down in the comments what you think of this setup, what you think of this ship with Multicrew. And I'll do my level best to get back to as many of you as I can. Now that's going to be it for the video. I do hope you've enjoyed it. Like the video if you like it, dislike it if you didn't. Neither of those good enough for you, that's what the comments are for. I've been Commander Chaos Wolf from Sci-Fi Gaming. You guys, as always, have been epic. I will see you soon. And until next time, my fellow commanders, keep flying and stay shiny.